Yes, sir.
I'm Jerry Atlansky. The name of the lab is sending you documents for 3 years regarding police brutality.
I'm familiar with your name. Nice to meet you.
Likewise. The last stats by the federal government, which was sent to your office, said that 25% rise in police brutality throughout the nation. Our program was one of a kind. It gets right at the heart of when an officer witnesses an officer break the civil rights of the individual. What do you immediately do? And we outlined that in the program we sent to you. We are not just statewide, but also nationwide in our distribution of information and information to the city. I'd like to know what your thoughts are in your city of how much you feel that program is needed.
So the question was about police brutality.
Correct.
And this good gentleman has sent me information over the years and advocates for a program that isn't just contemplated locally, but across the nation to prevent police brutality and also respond to it and educate people what to do when they suspect that they might see it.
Okay.
First off, I think that in Portland we're very, very lucky to be protected by a group of men and women that work incredibly hard, and I think do so under the most trying circumstances sometimes, less than adequately funded, and do a great job. Nobody is perfect, God knows, I do, but we're lucky to have a force that has done great work. Community policing, really good work. I also am pleased that under Chief Rosie Sizer, in the last couple of years, she's moved aggressively to improve relations with the community, especially communities of color, communities that are struggling financially, that often are suspicious of police. An area that she's worked with the independent auditor, Gary Blackmer, who I sent some of your material to, established the Independent Police Review Oversight, so that people can make complaints to IPR, Independent Police Review, and have those complaints investigated either by the Police Internal Affairs Division or by this Independent Review Board. You and I absolutely agree in terms of the need to have a system that if someone feels like they've been brutalized by the police, that they have a way to turn that complaint in. And I'm really proud of Chief Sizer and her team for moving in that direction. So I appreciate the work. I appreciate the information you've given to me, and I've passed it on to Auditor Gary Blackmer. Yes, sir.
This last year, there was a very unique initiative that was started in the city of Portland to develop long-term solutions to homelessness and poverty.
Yeah.
Could you speak about the current status of that and if that's going to continue? It seemed like it was really unique and a really neat thing for us to be involved with.
A question about the initiative by Eric Stan and others to have a 10-year plan to end homelessness, and back that up with a commitment of funding and partnerships with the nonprofit community to make sure that that happened. And a change in a variety of policies, and it was very unique. And we put more resources into it, and you're going to hear from Nick Fish in a few minutes, and he is now leading that effort even further and better than we originally envisioned. A couple of the things policies that we changed and were unique, and why I supported it when Eric Stin presented it. Something that is very common sense when you hear about it, but it used to be our policy that you wouldn't get access to a homeless shelter if you were visibly intoxicated. This is one example. And so that meant that you never got through the door to develop a relationship with a caseworker to address your issues of addiction and get you off the street into more permanent supportive housing, deal with your addiction issues, and become a more productive citizen. Just that small change meant that a lot more people who had addiction issues got through the door, developed those relationships, got connected with services and programs, and just that one change, we've had hundreds and hundreds of people who've been chronically homeless for years and years and years come off the street, deal with their issues. We provided more support in terms of programs and housing. And in total, thanks to Eric's initial leadership and Commissioner Fish's continuing leadership, we're around 800 people that were, I'm going to get the numbers slightly wrong, but 800 people that were chronically homeless, meaning that they had been on the streets for years, that are now in housing, permanent housing, and if not tax-paying citizens, if not totally productive, at least not a danger to themselves or a danger potentially to others. So the 10-year plan to end homelessness, honestly, is going to be challenged by this economic downturn and the reduction in revenue. And be sure and ask Commissioner Fish about that. I'm going to prioritize, to the extent that I can, continued funding for it. We either pay one way or another, and I would rather pay up front to help people deal with whatever challenges they face. It saves us money in the long run. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Dave Carter. I work with the Safe Sound and Green Initiative.
Yeah.
And task force. I was just wondering if you can give a brief synopsis of where that's at this point and if it's going to continue in your new administration.
So the question was, your representative on the Safe Sound and Green Task Force that was, believe it or not, a committee of 89 people that representing all kinds of constituency groups from all over the city of Portland. It was very important to me, especially that East Portland be well represented, and I really appreciate it. It was a lot of hours and a lot of work, and I really appreciate your efforts on that. And it really was to achieve this change where for years and years and years we would come to you and say, give us more money, the streets are in bad shape. Give us more money and we'll improve stuff related to transportation. Well, thanks to the many citizens on the Safe Sound and Green Street Task Force, we came up with a plan for specific projects to improve the transportation system, either its maintenance, as in sound, its safety, as in safe, or its impact on the environment, either making more safe opportunities for pedestrians or transit, or green streets, making sure that the water, the 39 inches of rain that fall on us every year, goes into the ground, not into a pipe, where it doesn't benefit the groundwater. 30% of a healthy Willamette River needs to be coming up from below. Safe Sound and Green Street put together this prioritized list. It includes improvements for your neighborhood. It'll improve your quality of life. And then the recession hit, just about the time we were finishing up. So it's on hiatus. I didn't feel like going out for a new local tax increase, even as worthy as I thought this was for during a recession, was in the best interest of sort of people's pocketbooks. But we are working at the state level to raise the state gas tax 2 cents and the city and the state's vehicle registration fee, which is one of the lowest in the United States, to implement some of these projects. What has risen to the list, or has been high on the list, just last part of my answer to your question, is the Selwood Bridge. Bridges are rated between 0 and 100. 100 means they're brand spanking new, well engineered. Everybody knows that they're there through mostly thick and thin. 0 means that, well, if they haven't collapsed, they're just about to. The Selwood Bridge is rated at 2. 2 out of 100. It is not a city bridge. The Willamette River bridges, none of them are the responsibility of the city. They're the county, because the county used to operate and maintain the roads. So it's a historical artifact that the county, as you know, has these bridges. And the county is not positioned, it's not focused on transportation, it's focused on human services. So luckily, County Chair Ted Wheeler and I have a partnership going that we're going to find a local match for the Selwood Bridge so that we can get eligibility for state and federal funding. I would argue to you, even though it is not your neighborhood, that this should be one of your highest priorities. South Portland is a challenged part of our city when it comes to transportation. It is hard to get around. And if the Selwood Bridge gets closed down, it's going to become even harder. And that affects the economy we all live or die by. So if we are not successful to get full funding for Safe Sound and Green and the Selwood Bridge in this legislative session, when times get better, I will go back to the citizens and ask them to consider a new funding source. We have an $800 billion maintenance and safety backlog on our transportation system, and it just gets more expensive every year. I want a modest revenue. We can take 20, 25 years to dig ourselves out of this, but we at some point have to be the generation that says, we're going to be the ones that start